accessibility, decision makers around that. And then the public meetings that you all had asked for as well.
Okay, so, and my comments on that were, section 1, fine as is. Section 2, at least August 2023, August 31st. My comments on section 3, designation of members and committee organization, delete first and second paragraph and keep the third. Property requirements,
Just a second, can I just clarify that?
delete the first and second paragraphs
Okay.
and keep the third.
I'm with you, hang on a second.
So what goes in there?
What goes in there, that we want to be non-voting members of this committee, which if that's the case, we don't even need a resolution, but non-voting members of the committee and 3 residents. And how is it? 3 registered voters residing within Upper Pottsgrove Township will be appointed in a timely manner.
And their and their guidance is the same thing, they're gonna come up with a list of,
No, they're gonna go by
Qualified.
this, they're gonna go by the property the report that's already been created.
so they'll have a list and take parameters around the list and create a list.
We had it all
for-
figured out. We're gonna take them, we're gonna give them this report, and then we were gonna walk them through all the sites, come back and discuss, and then see what else we needed to proceed, what other questions are needed by the committee to help make the decision.
Or, and I'd just like to say, or, if something else comes up in the meantime, we would look into that also.
Right.
And take any suggestions that anybody may have.
And then have enough time scheduled for 2 public meetings.
Yeah, when you make the statement on, the public makes the decision, does that mean the 3 folks are making the decision?
No.
They're making the recommendation.
They're gonna
and
make the recommendation
also-
to the board.
And also the public meeting piece will be part of that.
Sure.
That would include the public input on those items as well.
Right.
Okay. Okay, where's the, you said you had an application, how are you?
Well, we didn't have it finalized yet, because honestly, when we heard that there was a resolution coming and we didn't know what was in it yet, we stopped. I wasn't gonna waste anybody else's time on going forward on something when I didn't know what was coming.
I think that's how we assigned Eric that role. He was given the task to come up.
But it was just Michelle, Dave, and I, and we were sitting here trying to discuss the parameters or our wish list or whatever you wanna call it. And then we were informed that there was a resolution coming and there were things in it. And I thought, well, what are we doing? Because here again, one arm isn't talking to the other.
We were all in the room when we assigned Eric the task to come up with this thing.
I guess, yeah, go ahead, Dave.
Trace, I was in the room when I was told what the parameters were.
Yeah, I know we sit there and Eric,
No, you weren't at that meeting, that was at Eric's office. Okay, Trace? It was repeated again in front of the township manager. We're just going backwards. If we can't come to a meeting on minds of a few of these conditions, I can't move forward with it.
Now, I had bet, Trace, that you're gonna be looking for an exit ramp on this, and this is what that's obviously.
Oh, that is so unfair, Don. You wanna start an argument, go ahead, start an
I will
argument.
start. You know, I still don't quite understand why, you wouldn't wanna be a voting member other than not to take responsibility for the action. You know, we vote all the time, every vote I take, I'm responsible for it, right or wrong. You know, we had a member of the public mention something today about a resolution that we're gonna ask, I never even thought of that. But you've gotta take responsibility for whatever this committee comes up with. You're gonna, this is something that we have been elected to represent the public, so let's represent them and get this thing done. August 31st, I don't care, it doesn't matter, I think that's reasonable. summertime, nobody's gonna get anything done anyways. But let's get this done, and, I'm sorry, I think you should be member, you know what, if you don't wanna take responsibility for what your committee comes up with, all the better. I mean, you outfoxed me, cause I was trying to figure out how you were gonna get out of this, and this is exactly how you did, so good.
Okay, if you're gonna go there, Don, I wanna ask why Hank was appointed to the committee first and then it turned to me.
He wasn't.
Yes, he was.
No, it wasn't you appointed him. We asked you to be, you said, hey, Hank was not
I
appointed to this
did
committee.
not. No.
Hank, were you ever appointed to this committee or understood that you were?
No.
Okay.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Oh, wait up.
Let's
Well,
go,
this
let's
gets
go to the
better.
tape. Let's go
This
to
is
the
getting better all the time.
Hey, let's go to the tape. I watched the meeting.
It wasn't done in the meeting.
You asked,
It was done after the meeting. And Trace appointed Hank and Dave, and that was 2 days after the primary.
boy, is that,
2 days after the
boy,
primary.
somebody note that down.
Yeah, note it
That
down.
didn't happen,
It
Kathy.
did not happen.
I'm the appointee and Hank's supposed to be appointed. We were saying that never happened.
You said it was Hank and Dave, and
No.
when we came back on Monday, it changed to Dave and me.
That is not true.
Oh, that is absolutely true.
Of what meeting?
Oh my God.
If I was appointed, no one told me.
Yeah.
You were sitting right there, Hank, and he said, oh my God.
Michelle, were you in that?
Anybody gonna stick up for us here? Take
I was
which order.
that informational meeting, the informational session.
It was the
When it
informational
was said
session.
with Hank.
I was there, but I don't remember that honestly.
I can't believe it.
Well,
I
if it's
really
Was
can't.
it the Thursday one? Thursday?
Okay.
Yes, it was the Thursday one.
Dave,
What I can say is I do know that the discussion to have 5 members did come after the 2 of you left executive session at the last meeting.
Right, we left executive session. Why didn't somebody clue us in on that?
I did not recall that, I'm gonna tell you, until that came up at tonight's meeting. Cause we talk about a lot. I don't always take notes in executive session, just because I don't, but I've learned to start doing that. So I have a record of what is discussed.
So being that no one can remember what actually happened, can you understand why Dave and I want more control over this and why we don't wanna be, it's not that I'm not taking responsibility. I'm not gonna be the scapegoat for this fiasco that happened.
nobody can remember what happened, but how can you prove a negative? I don't know. Hank, if you were appointed to this committee, it was news to me, because,
This would be news to me too, because I would certainly remember that. I read this resolution, I don't see a problem with it, time,
All right.
it's on your list.
timeline is a little tight, especially
So it's on your
since we're in
list,
July.
Especially with all this.
You know what, it could take all the time at once, because we're still in a lawsuit, we can't move forward with anything, okay? So unless we wanna pay them a lot of money in the next 6 years or so, it could take as long as it takes.
Well, I'm not gonna go through a legal strategy, but we will be underbidding, we'll be bidding this project out by the end of this year, and we'll be moving forward one way or another. I hope you come up with a good alternative. I will support it if it's equal or better. I am not married to this site, but we've gotta get this done, and
Okay, I was wondering how you guys were gonna squeeze out of this resolution, and I got my answer.
oh my gosh.
What do you mean by
I
that?
have no idea, but I've had good debates with people, but man, this one stumps me. Anyways, do what you want.
This was all drawn up because you guys had suggested, the majority had asked you what your solution was, and it wasn't a site, it was a process. And this is exactly what you said. And I remember on that Thursday meeting when we talked about it, and Dave, yeah, they're correct, I pointed you to that, and then in the executive session, I appointed Kathy to that.
That's correct, and I was told, and we're all just repeating ourselves here. This is what it's gonna take to get it done. Kathy and I aren't gonna vote, we picked the 3 members of the committee, okay? We had, and timeline, we all know it can't get done by July. That's what it's gonna take to get done. If not, then, I just can't accept changed terms. Changing, it's completely different than what was proposed from the beginning. That's all I can say, Trace, that's my
It
honest
wasn't,
opinion.
David, it's exactly
It
what you
wasn't,
said.
I sat in the solicitor's office and I sat in other meetings when it was said to me point blank to my face.
Well, I feel like, you guys are the dog that caught the car, you know, and you don't know what to do with it now. However, what do you want to get these properties reviewed, whatever we call it? I need to know what the developer, that's what spurred this whole thing. This developer offered us property to put this complex on in exchange, so we were gonna save 2 acres over here, but we're gonna let them develop 70 acres over here. So I wanna see how the math works, how that works. I just want, the developer was my main concern. I believe I sent an email out. I need to know what that offer looks like. I don't like what I've seen so far, but I have not seen everything. We have been advised by our solicitors, look at this offer, and I think we are obligated to do it for the benefit of the public.
I agree, what offer did
Correct.
we get?
Yeah,
Well-
and you know who can
Well-
handle that?
Well, you have to talk to the developers, which is a kind of ironic thing at this point. You're gonna have to talk to the
I'd love
developers.
to, I told you that, we had this conversation.
You're gonna have to talk to the developers, using Eric, and Dave,
And the board.
you're a very careful person, I've learned that, but just please be careful with these people. I don't want them to assume anything.
That advice I appreciate, I've worked real estate for almost 40
Dave,
years.
you're better than I am at it.
And
By
that's
far.
why, and that is why Dave and I discussed this, what we want. Non-voting members, we have 3 people, and these three people see this report, they visit the sites, and we take into consideration the 2 properties that were being offered, which means discussions with the committee.
But I think, Kathy, and correct me if I'm wrong, during our meetings, the land that is being offered by developers, I'll put an S on that. We were highly advised by the engineer that, number 1, we don't wanna do that. Number 2, those properties are not conducive for lots of reasons. And
Sure.
and eventually, I mean, I'll share my report with the board along with the committee, is that I can, as township manager, recommend that we build on either one of those properties, cause I know how much money one's gonna cost and how we could be in a lawsuit if we take the other one.
This is true, but if we want to give Don what he wants, then we're gonna have to talk to them, at least talk to them.
I'm not saying we don't have to talk to them, but I think,
No one's making a deal. No one's making a deal with the committee. The committee's
Correct.
formed to give
but I don't even
recommendations.
think those 2 properties are even at the high list of,
I don't wanna discuss that
Properties on
now.
that.
I don't wanna discuss that now.
but.
I just wanna talk about how we wanna run the committee, as transparent as possible, and get out of this fiasco that we're in.
How to draft the parameters.
Well,
Mhm.
clearly, if you guys are proposing on section 3 to add 1 paragraph that says, according to how you're accepting the appointee, the president of the board as the chairman, and other chair, or the commissioner of that, and then the 3 people you want to appoint, we'll actually need to see how you wanna do that, so we can see the application, what the intent, that's not verbalized in here, so we would need to see how you wanna do that. If that's your adjustment from what Eric has written here, is that correct?
Yes.
Eric's already started.
Yeah, we already started that process, but we stopped it because it just wasn't,
Draft application.
yeah, we have a draft of it. We just stopped it because we thought, well, why are we doing this? We're wasting time. We need to understand what is going on, how we're proceeding with this, which, you know, I wanted the application ready for tonight. I thought that's how it was gonna go, but it didn't. Because according to this resolution, we're not, everybody was picking their own representative, or nobody was picking any representatives.
It is different from that.
So, yeah, the way the resolution is drafted, this point is, the committee is either 2 people, being solely the 2 commissioners, or 7. We can obviously change that to say whatever this board, so I think I heard a consensus that nobody's locked into the July 31st, and I can tell you, I made up that date just to get us a talking item. And because some of them were offers of properties that will expire at some point in time, so yes, from my perspective, I wanted an answer sooner than later, at least with regard to those couple properties. If they're not on the list, I can get back to them right now and say they're not on the list, and then some of this emergency goes away. The secondary issue, it sounds like the discussion item is whether we stick with the two choices I drafted in here, which was a 2 or 7 member board, and go to something different, which sounds like the two of you are requesting a 3-person board with the 3 people picked by you, and then you're not really on the committee, because that's how we get out of our code, which says that commissioners can't sit on committees, so you're not really on the committee, you're more of a liaison to that committee, to kind of communicate back and forth between the committee and this board, and then to really guide that board with some of your input, because you're gonna have knowledge from here that committee won't have. So
Right.
you're not on the committee, but you're running the committee, for lack of a better word.
We're running the committee. When they say they want information on this, that, or the other thing, we're the people who go get it.
Yep.
Either we have to come to you, or we have to go to an engineer, or whoever. We're the people who go get the information for them.
The resolution as written, obviously we can have the discussion tonight, if 3 of you decide that's okay, we can revise that resolution, you can approve it this evening, we would just make any changes you would want to the resolution before we get signed. But you can physically or take action on it this evening if you want. That's really, sounds like your choice would be adopted as is, or make the changes as are being requested. Or some other changes.
Okay, so what I would recommend we do, there was something in process with the application on how, what I don't understand is how the additional folks are being selected. I do understand the 2 criteria you put in section 3, but not the non-voting commissioners coupled with the selection of the 3 and how that would work, so we'll do that. As I understood it, it's just down to section 3, did I understand it? Is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay.
I said delete the 1st and 2nd paragraph, keep the 3rd.
Okay, so section 3 is the 2 that are already there, plus we're going to write the 3rd coupled with the selection criteria of the 3 members in the process. What do you think?
So is there a reason you want 3 members, maybe 5?
We want 3 members, and we wanna pick.
The 3 members, just because we don't want there to be too much discussion on something, if you know what I mean. I mean, look, there were 5 of us.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Exactly. I mean, if we get 3 people who can be open-minded about this and take the information, the reports from the professionals that we pay to do this work, then they can, plus public meetings.
I can tell you from our perspective, our only advice was to make it up, so you can't have a comment. So you make it an odd number of people, so you're right, so we want a 1-to-1 vote, and then we have no recommendations for it. 2-to-1, or with a 2-to-1, or.
Because if there's gonna be public comments, there's gonna be other issues to either look into or to weigh. Because some people may have really good suggestions as to what they want, or what they still need to see.
Okay, and then, so that we said the 3, and then the application process, and you said, now, what's the reason for just you 2 picking up?
Well, that was what initially we thought was gonna happen, and it's not just 2, I mean, Michelle would have been in the process, you want Eric and Celso to be in the process.
Well, yeah, so that's, to draft up the selection process and see what that looks like.
Well, here, kind of what the notes I've been taking here is that, if the board would wanna change this, that we adopted with 3 members appointed by the 2 commissioners. The 2 commissioners are liaisons or guidance to the board, but not on the board. We would then prepare an application form. We would send I would write this in here, an application form with criteria would be prepared, sent to everybody sitting at the table here, to provide comment. What I don't wanna do is say that it has to come back here for approval, cause then we're gonna lose another month. I think, it should be submitted to get comment back, and then maybe between Michelle and me, we can pick what actually is the final items on that application process and criteria. Or the two of you, I don't care who does it, so I'm just trying to think of a way that, we get some consensus and get that application out as quickly as possible. My goal is getting it out there so that we get this committee moving.
And we will put it on the website.
Yeah, I think you.
Township
yeah,
website.
Yeah, I would caution against advertising it just for cost, and nobody reads the paper anyway, so. Yeah, I think you advertise it and then start announcing in every public meeting that it's out there. Post it on the
Okay.
website and get people applying. I think the word of mouth is gonna get out pretty quick that it's gonna be out there. So.
It's great advertising for the recreation.
Okay, so is we're okay with everything besides 3. And you're gonna draft up what the option 3 is and how the selection part's gonna go. All right, so we would just need that piece, and then, since the rest of it's good to go, can we approve it other than section 3? And then, we'll be on just that one piece?
If you don't put anything else in there, then what I would tell you is that, and then assuming that you're appointing Dave and Kathy to it, then it'll be up to Dave and Kathy to decide how many people are on the committee, because you're not providing guidance to that, because the guidance as to who's on the committee drops out.
No, what I'm saying is, for section 3,
Yes.
we have 1, 2, you would draft up the 3rd, and then we would
I see.
decide on that 3rd piece. On that section 3, whatever, it's gonna be 1, 2, or 3, after you draft up how the process that Dave just described is gonna happen.
So if, to take action, yes, you could take action saying that number 3 would be, appointment of 3 members of the public, with the 2 commissioners being liaisons or I don't wanna call you non-voting members, cause that, a member means you're on it, and I don't want you to be on it, so liaisons or the guidance for it, basically.
And we would have a final review of that, everybody, all the commissioners, is that correct?
Sure.
All right, once you do that, and then, if they're non-voting, then we can.
Please use the microphone.
Okay. So you can draft that up then?
Yes.
All right. How long think you turn that around?
And the timeline,
No, I think I get a consensus, I think August 31st, I think nobody had a problem with that, yeah.
All right. All right, good. Let's move to public comments.
Do you wanna vote on that?
No.
Yeah, I think,
You not draft it up?
Well, not really tomorrow. If we,
do you wanna talk more in executive session than come in and vote on that?
I don't-
like you said?
I think we're going to empower you to do what you want. Am I hearing this correctly? All right, so I do not wanna stall this process out, because we do have a time problem here. I mean, it's not short, but it's out there.
Okay.
Please
I don't
use the
want-
microphone.
I'm sorry about that. The acoustics in this room stinks, and I'll tell you, the worst spot is to sit right here. I can't even hear the president talk, so I apologize, but, I don't wanna stall this committee out. A lot of work has been already done. And I just don't want to provide any, I just want you guys to get the work done, come up with a recommendation that's equal or better to what we have, and then we move on. And we have to understand, if the recommendation, if the best place to do it, we have to also recognize the best place to do it is probably where we're at, or it could be where we're at right now, so. I think everything's, your decision matrix is basically based off of 370 Evans Road, so. Good. I think we need to keep moving with this.
Well, How can we approve this just with the contingency, there will be a final draft that has to be approved by everybody? All the board members, is that correct? Because I don't wanna vote on anything that I don't get a chance to look at.
Yeah, all right, so we're okay with this, move forward, and then we'll take a draft, look at it.
And then I think we'll get Michelle to send it out, if you could just get your comments back to Michelle, if there's any tweaks to the language.
Microphone, please.
Sorry.
We'll get a draft, we'll get it to Michelle tomorrow, Michelle will get it out to everybody, and just, it won't be signed until we have everybody's consensus that it's fine. But the changes will reflect the comments we just discussed, which is date, an additional option for the setup of the board, and then for, what I was gonna add as well, which I heard here tonight, was that the application form and criteria for board members will be circulated for board comment as well. So,
All right, so, what's our motion, what's the motion?
Would be a motion to adopt the resolution number.
Well, we didn't do 760, so it's 760.
760?
760, with the, changes reflecting the comments this evening.
I'll make that motion with the contingencies about changes.
Here, in a second, any more discussion? All in favor say aye.